Near mint condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome.
This is Mr. Chris Claremont, a legend.
Melanie goes,
Tired.
how's it going, all you minties? This is the Uncanny Omar from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And whoa, that's a lot of Marvel collected editions in one video. That's right. We're going to be looking at 3 weeks worth of Marvel hardcovers and thick trade paperbacks like Epic Collections and Modern Epics, and of course some new series and sagas. But let's go ahead and get started. And welcome back, everybody. Before going any further, a big thank you to David Gabriel and the fine folks at Marvel for sending us advanced copies of these books. And that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be taking a quick advanced look at each and every single one of these. And I mean quick as in, I didn't get a chance to read any of these except for Peter Parker, The Spectacular Spider-Man, Volume 7, which has a nice surprise, by the way, and the Spider-Woman trade paperback. I didn't get a really... I couldn't. Now, luckily, I've read a lot of this stuff in the past. So let's see how well my brain works. And the reason for that, why I'm doing the books that are coming out in June 25th and July 2nd and 9th is because we are going to be out of the country. We are traveling again to Japan. Japan! And we are going this time around with friends. No kids. That's right. So... it is my 2 weeks off that I get off from the channel, but I also didn't want to leave people stranded, and I think it's unfair if I can't do any of these. So I wanted to do a quick overview. I won't have timestamps in the description of the video. I'm so sorry. This is actually the video I'm recording right before we get on the plane, so I'm hoping to edit really quick at the airport and upload it. All right. Let's stop talking and just get to some books. First week we're going to be looking at is June 26th or 25th, depending on where you get your books. This is the new Thunderbolt series by Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly. You have some covers by Terry Dodson here, collecting the first 4 issues, and Devil's Reign Winter Soldier. So at least I had the decency to separate these by weeks, and this kind of gives you an idea of what this artwork looks like, and taking place during the Spider-Man Gang War event. So this is the new Thunderbolts right here. Some of these are familiar faces, and some of them obviously from the movie. Next up is the Venom by Al Ewing and Torunn Grumbeck. This is volume 6 of this familiar series, and this is actually one that I'm taking on the plane because I want to know what's going on, because I'm genuinely loving this series. I think it's phenomenal. At first I was hating on it, but then I thought, wait a second. This is actually really deeper than I thought. There were elements, like sci-fi elements, when it's taken place, where it's taken place. And then Al Ewing's just knowledge of the Marvel Universe is amazing. To see some of the characters that he uses and to see some of the plot lines that he goes back and visits, it's great. So this collects issues 26 through 30 of the Venom new series. Then Realm of X, speaking of Torunn Grumbeck, this collects the 5-issue miniseries set right around the time of Fall of X, right here. And this is the one that was divided between my buddy Peter and my buddy Max. Peter dug it, Max wasn't the biggest fan, and I haven't had a chance to read it, so this one is the other one that's going on the plane with me. And, you know, it's one of these things, like, yes, I could probably knock this out fairly quick, but... also want to enjoy reading again, so I'll eventually get caught up. Now, some of these I have read, of course, like we are looking at Sins of Sinister here. This is the trade paperback. One thing to note about this one, it is $50. Collecting Sins of Sinister 1, the Brotherhood of Mutants 1 through 3, the Nightcrawlers 1 through 3, Immoral X-Men 1 through 3, and Sinister Dominion number 1. The hardcover... the oversized hardcover, I do believe, was $75. I am not going fast enough through these. So, this is the crossover before the Fall of X. This is when Sinister, that has been planning all of these things since the House and Powers of X1, it all comes to play here. And I can see where some people can be confused, like, when is this taking place? Is this like Age of Apocalypse? No, it is happening now. What you're seeing now is happening now. I have to quote a little bit of Spaceballs there. But I really like some of the characters that come back through here, and I love the fact that the titles change, because that does remind me, of course, of Age of Apocalypse. The Margaret Stoll series is all collected in one thick book for $44.99. This is after the Kelly Sue DeConnick run. So this collects the Mighty Captain Marvel 0 through 8, Captain Marvel 125 through 128, and then the Generations Captain Marvel and Captain Marvel and the Life of Captain Marvel 1 through 5, which has been collected before in trade, but this is the first time all of her series has been collected in one big book. So not an omnibus format, but this is the book that fits in between the Kelly Sue DeConnick run and the Kelly Thompson run. Some of the stuff I have read, like The Life of Captain Marvel, there's a little bit of a retcon here as to her past when she was a kid, but it does have beautiful artwork by the late Carlos Pacheco. And then I did read the Generation story with the original Marvel. And of course, extras in the back. I was always a fan of that cover here. Love it, by Quesada. Beautiful. All right, next. And then it sucks with things like this that I really want to talk about. But this is New X-Men, Modern Era Epic Collection, Ease for Extinction, Volume 1. So we are looking at the Grant Morrison era of New X-Men. And joining Grant Morrison is Frank Quitely. And this is the team that he's using. If you watch the animated series, a lot of the stuff for the animated series is adapted from here. This is also the story that propels Emma Frost further than she was being used, like in the pages of Generation X. She becomes an official X-Men through here. There's a lot of gross mutants, like Mutant Town is introduced through here. So it's not just Frank Quitely, it's also Ethan Van Sciver and Igor Cordy doing some of the artwork through here. But it's collecting the first 3 different storylines and introducing us to a new nemesis named Cassandra Nova. And then, of course, the extras in the back. And the Defenders Epic Collection. This is the Classic Era, Volume 2. Enter the Headman. So we are still looking at the Len Wein era and, of course, the Steve Gerber era. There's also Chris Claremont writing some of the stories in here, and I forgot to say what was collected in that New X-Men. Collecting New X-Men 114 to 126 and Annual 2001. This is collecting Defenders 12 through 25, Giant Size 1 through 4, Marvel 2 and 1, 6 and 7, and then material for Mystery Tales 21, World of Fantasy number 11, and Tales of Suspense number 9. Most of the time, whenever I do these overviews, a little behind the scenes, I end up memorizing what's in these books because I just finished reading them and I go immediately to recording. That's how I like to do it, and then sometimes I forget about an issue here and there, and you wonderful people love to remind me. This is the Mutant Omega storyline that leads into the whole Muir Island with Moira McTaggart messing around with Magneto's... I don't want to make it sound awful. His body and his genetics, which kind of warps him a little bit. By now we have Nighthawk joining the team of the Defenders and Valkyrie through here. The stuff has been collected in, of course, omnibus format and Marvel Masterworks. But now coming out officially in Epic Collection. And speaking of Marvel Masterworks, we have, continuing the Bill Mantlo and our pal Sal, The Incredible Hulk, Marvel Masterworks Volume 18. Collecting issues 266 to 279 of The Incredible Hulk. Written by Bill Mantlo. You do have some layouts by Mark Grunwald, Joe Sinnott, Greg LaRocque. Introduction by Al Ewing, which I didn't expect to see. And dang it, I didn't get a chance to read it yet. Some of the stories I have read through here. This is the evolutionary storyline in here. Oh my gosh, I forgot about that character. This is the Shaper of Worlds. And I love the way that he kind of looks like a Skrull, the Pariah story in here. Some of these I had in single issues, and then others I ended up trying to get like collected editions. But it is officially now collected in the Marvel Masterworks format. And some people may recognize this little guy right here making a debut. And that is Rocket Raccoon. and of course some other characters from Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Well, this was the inspiration for Guardians of the Galaxy 3, some of those other characters that appeared through here. Megalith right there, and then of course there's always bios in the back here. Man, this is so weird. Like, it feels so wrong to be doing a quick overview like this. But you also get Marvel Fanfare number 7 in here. I love that that's in here. The artwork is supplied by Joe Barney. It's Stephen Grant writing the story. So I love the fact that that wasn't on the front, like letting you know where it's collected. It's not in the front nor in the table of contents, because it's not the only Marvel Masterwork with a surprise. The week of July 3rd or 2nd, depending on where you get your books, we are kicking it off with Marvel Zombies, Black, White, and Blood. Wanted to sneak this in here, but the astonishing Melanie will be having a deeper overview of this later this week. She's helping me out. Alright, X-Men the Animated Series. We've seen this released in omnibus format, and now it's coming out in a digest-sized book, Feared and Hated, collecting issues 1 through 8 of the X-Men Adventures. And this one is $13.99. Pocket-sized book for people that love the X-Men 97 or the original X-Men cartoon. These are adaptations of those stories. The other book I read before getting ready for this, but I'm trying to be fair, so I'm not going to go deep into this one. But this is Spider-Woman set during the time of Gang War. Now, this does change her status quo. This is by Steve Fox and Eric Coda, but Carola Borelli doing the main art for the main series. So it has a little bit of Spider-Man 31 and Spider-Woman 1 through 5. This is an ongoing series, and it starts off with a mystery. She is looking for her kid. Where has her child been? So something happened at the end of the Spider-Verse, that miniseries, that they will talk about it in here, that changed her life. So you have Diamondback, that is kind of her arch nemesis through here. There's a character named Green Mamba that shows up for the first time. But the whole thing is that nobody can remember her child. Everybody remembers her, but they keep talking about the web of life and how it changed things. And where is her son? Where can he possibly be? There are some extras in the back. Of course, you have variant covers. And The Avengers, Twilight Dreaming, Volume 2 of the Jed MacKay series. This one is drawn by C.F. Villa and Francesco Mortarino, Ivan Fiorelli, and here are your characters. Captain Marvel, Captain America, Scarlet Witch, Vision, Thor, Iron Man, and Black Panther. And it hurts to flip through here because I haven't had a chance to read this one. I loved Volume... No, wait, I did read this one. I read it a month ago. So this is a continuation of the first 6 issues. This collects issues 7 through 11. And the Avengers are trying to get out of this weird world that they're trapped in. Not quite Earth. And they're starting to make sense of things and who might be behind the scenes pulling the strings. This was fun. It was a little bit of a slow burn, like those first few issues. But by the time we got to issue 3, I loved it. Hawkeye is finally getting another epic collection. This is a modern era epic collection and a volume 1. It is collecting New Avengers The Reunion 1 through 4, Hawkeye and Mockingbird 1 through 6, the Widowmaker 1 through 6, and Hawkeye Blind Spot 1 through 4, Hawkeye and Mockingbird sketchbook, and the material from Dark Reign, New Nation, and Enter the Heroic Age. So this is the new era of Hawkeye. This is after the events of Secret Invasion. So for people that have read the classics and you read West Coast Avengers, you're like, wait a second. That doesn't make sense. I know what happened to Bobby. Well, something happened in Secret Invasion, and it is explained through those pages, and that's why you're seeing a lot of the team up here between Hawkeye and Mockingbird. This is almost like a Mockingbird book, too. So it does have not an ongoing series, because Hawkeye didn't really have an ongoing series, but it does have all the minis that kind of lead up to the Fraction era of Hawkeye. Now, the next book is Spectacular Spider-Man number 7. This is the other book that I read. But to be fair, I'm just going to kind of skim through here. And this is collecting the Spectacular Spider-Man 80 through 91. You have Bill Mantlo, Roger Stern, and Al Milgrom, and then penciling by Al Milgrom, Ron Frenz, Greg LaRocque. However, there is a really cool surprise in here. Ralph Macchio doing the introduction here, talking about this particular era and Bill Mantlo's style of writing. So just going to show you a little bit of the artwork through here. And Spectacular Spider-Man during this time. Oh, yeah, you do have the Cloak and Dagger storyline through here, which was collected in the omnibus format. During this time, it was known as the title where people went to get ready to write a main title. Like, this is the tryout period for people sometimes. And there's the Hobgoblin, Bill Mantlo writing these stories with Al Milgrom on art. So a lot of the writers like Uncle Raj started out at Spectacular Spider-Man and then moved over to Amazing. Or they would just come in for a fill-in issue and move on to another title like Daredevil or X-Scenes. All right, let's look at the last week. The week of July 10th, we're kicking it off with Dark X-Men right here, The Mercy Crown, another Stephen Fox book, collecting issues 1 through 5, and then material for Marvel's Voices Pride. I got really excited when I was talking about the upcoming collected editions, because I filmed that video, when was that? This past weekend? I don't know what day this is anymore. All I know is I got to get ready to fly out. And I saw some of the characters in here, and I was like, oh my gosh, is that Albert? Yes, Albert! That's awesome! And M-Plate, yeah, sure, whatever. Gambit, Archangel, and Maddie right there. Yes, absolutely. There's a couple of other surprises in here, too. But I haven't had a chance to freaking read the whole thing. I just read like the first 1.5 issues because I realized, oh, there's no way I can finish. But that is Dark X-Men. And then we get to the reprint of Amazing Spider-Man and the Return of the Sinister Six, Epic Collection Volume 21, collecting issues 334 to 350. And Spider-Man Spirits of the Earth. If this is your first time watching my videos, I swear I don't fly through these. We do kick it off with the Charles Vess one-shot in here, the Spirits of the Earth. Which is not collected in the omnibus, by the way. Beautiful artwork. My gosh, I wish it was. I know they have an oversized hardcover called The Graphic Novels, and you can find it in that way, but it just would have been nice to have it in the omnibus, too. I realize it's neither David Michelinie nor Eric Larson, but it would have been cool. So, the Sinister Six are back. This time by Eric Larson, drawn by him, and we have Doc Ock getting his adamantium arms. And we have the Hobgoblin this time, because, you know, he's a newer character. The Vulture, Sandman, Electro, and, of course, Mysterio. Now, towards the end of this run, you will see a change in the lineup, and somebody else who will become a member of the Sinister Six. This has been collected in omnibus editions before, and it also shows the return of Eddie Brock Venom in that infamous fight at the island in issue 350 right here, which is the fight against Doom. And, of course, the extras. And that does wrap up the era of Eric Larson on Spider-Man. And then we get the Mark Bagley era. Modern era continues with Epic Collection Thor. Volume 1. They decided to kick it off with the JMS era of Thor. So this does collect issues 536 to 537 of the Fantastic Four. And then a little bit of 538. And then, of course, Thor 1 through 12, issue 600 is all collected in this. So we do get the tease as to Thor coming back, as he had been gone after Ragnarok during Michael Avon Oeming's run. And I know when I say Ragnarok, it's happened a lot. I get it. And then for a couple of years, there was no Thor comic. We got Clor. We got that Ragnarok character. And then Marvel said, let's bring him back. But let's bring him back slowly. So in the middle of nowhere, Thor is the only Asgardian god, and he has to go and find the rest of the Asgardians, who think they're just human beings. And where's Loki? Where are all of his brothers and sisters? So it becomes an awesome mystery at first, and Olivia Coipel's art, oh my gosh, it's just amazing. And last but certainly not least is The Avengers, Marvel Masterworks, Volume 24. So collecting The Avengers 246 to 254, West Coast Avengers 1 through 4, and The Invincible Iron Man number 7. This is the Uncle Raj era. So Roger Stern, Al Milgrom, Bob Hall. And there is an introduction by Roger Stern, Uncle Raj himself, writing the introduction. This is something that I'm actually putting in my pile to read when I get back. So we do kick it off with the Mighty Avengers 246. And now you have Captain Marvel. That was in addition to the team. And this is my Avengers era when I was a kid. like the stories I was reading, and then of course with Big John Buscema took over the book. Oh my gosh, it was just such an awesome time, because the Avengers to me were like, oh, this is supposed to be the Avengers, right? Like, you have Stingray. So when I was a kid, Stingray was an Avenger, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh, he wasn't always an Avenger. That's weird. And Hercules ends up joining, and of course I love Monica Rambeau. She's such an awesome character. And you have the first 4 issues, or no, the miniseries of the West Coast Avengers collected in here as well. And in the back, all of the extras. And that's it. That, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing any of these books the weeks they come out, don't forget to check out our sponsor, cheapgraphicnovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content and page count of each of these books. Let me know in the comments down below which ones you're most excited for, which one took you by surprise that you had no idea was coming out, and what books you've read that you're hoping one day will be collected in an omnibus format, oversized hardcover format, or if you're just happy with the Masterworks and Epic collections. Everybody, that's it. Stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.